Hello, this is Mark Holmes, the editor of Via Satellite, and we're back for one of our Thursday morning conversations. And I'm delighted today to be talking with Tucker Morrison, who is the CEO of a company called Blue Sky Network. So firstly, Tucker, welcome to Thursday morning conversation. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mark. Thank you for having me. Appreciate to be here.
Excellent. Well, welcome, and tell us a little bit about tell us a little bit about Blue Sky Network, a little bit about the company, what it does, and where you fit into the whole satellite ecosystem.
Great. Yeah. So Blue Sky Network is actually 20 years old. We just celebrate our 20th anniversary in June. We were originally founded by a pilot, and for the most part of our first decade in business, we were known as an aircraft tracking satellite solution provider. Over the past decade, we've really expanded into other verticals and also gone beyond just a tracking provider, but really settled more into a connectivity solution that offers both the satellite service for voice and data tracking, as well as software as a service applications for connectivity.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the sort of like your current portfolio of services and products, and what you're sort of doing at the moment.
Sure. So we've traditionally have offered short burst data solutions, and we've got dual mode trackers that with customers that are operating in remote areas for oil and gas, NGOs, search and rescue, aerial firefighting. That's predominantly the folks that we've been working with. But what we're really excited about is a new product that's coming out that has an overall fleet management solution, as well as IoT applications. And it's going to be on the Iridium Certus spectrum. And it's streaming high quality voice, data, messaging, and more. And what that's going to offer is really a much different and mid-band solution that hasn't previously been offered. I mean, it's optimized for size, cost, and power, and ultimately the plans and the devices are going to be similar to what a cell phone plan was 20 years ago.
Interesting. When is that product going to launch?
We're launching it. It should be shipping out next month, early September, right around the time of the satellite show.
Excellent. Well, good timing for us. But so, what sort of take up are you sort of looking for that? And tell us a little bit about this. Is it called Skylink? This product. Tell us a little bit more about it.
It's called Skylink, and again, it's a cloud-based data and communication solution. And we really are marketing for air, land, and sea, as well as portable use. It is a very small size, weight, and power, and it connects legacy sensors. Ideally, it allows for remote terminal management, edge computing, and secure firewalls. And that's what's so different. Again, we've moved beyond just a tracking solution to one where data connectivity is ultimately what we're providing here. What it allows for is you can open and control and close valves. You can remotely monitor assets. We also have our SkyRouter platform that was based on legacy asset tracking, and the two interact with each other. And so you can track all of your assets in one portal, and you can understand what's working, what's not. There's different types of monitoring that one can use as a user, and then as a IT professional, you can configure all these devices in the field. And so that's just a lot different from any offering we've had before.
So, I mean, you mentioned that the company's been going like 20 years, and obviously you put out a number of products and services over the last 20 years. How, from a Blue Sky perspective, how significant a launch is this particular one for the company?
This is probably it's definitely our biggest launch to date. 2 years ago, Blue Sky Network acquired a hardware provider inside the Iridium ecosystem called Applied Satellite Engineering in Scottsdale, Arizona. In doing that, we married the Blue Sky Network aviation legacy business with a land mobile and fixed terminal hardware manufacturer in ASE. And so together as one, this is really a big launch. Last year, we did have a new product launch called the Hawkeye 5500. And that 5500 product was a dual mode tracker, but didn't have voice. And so now with this one, not only are we getting away from short burst data into streaming, but we're also adding voice and other capabilities for remote terminal management as well.
So who are the natural customers for this product? Who are you looking to, in essence, sell this to over the next year? Who's going to be interested in this?
It's a great question. So really, it's a couple of different use cases and existing customers. On the one end, there's the IoT aspect. This can be an installed solution for monitoring at utilities, power companies, hydroelectric dams, and remote regions, and it can be a fixed solution. For others, it can be a portable solution that can go in vehicles, secure vehicles where you need to be able to compute and transfer data, as well as have high quality voice and an immediate failover, while you're on the road and moving. It also has a maritime application, and it has an aviation application. And both of those can be a little bit different, but what we're really seeing it as is command and control, because beyond visual line of sight, you now have command and control of unmanned assets, as well as surveillance. This device has the capability to surveil and have the payload data, as well as the command and control for the unmanned asset. So it sounds like it, in one regard, we're stretched across a number of verticals, but what's really neat about the technology is it essentially is the same. It just, we can make it work for any of those end use cases, whether it's on land, in air, or on the sea.
And talk to me a little bit about the mobility market for Blue Sky Network. I mean, we see some tremendous sort of dynamics, right now in that market. What does it look like for Blue Sky Network?
Well, for us, we've always been about kind of that mobility, that small form factor, very, very flexible, and that goes hand in hand with the terminal itself, as well as the antenna. In this particular case, we've got antennas that are roughly the size of your fist. And so it's not a big install. We've got a battery pack that can attach to this, that can go in someone's backpack, or it can be auxiliary power, inside of a car that stacks on top of the terminal, which is not much bigger than a portable terabyte hard drive device. And so for that mobility, that really allows a lot of functionality. It can be inconspicuous if it's attached to a wall, a pole, on the roof of a vehicle. It can be easy to throw into a backpack. It can have a tactical kit that it goes with, or you can install it in the bridge of a boat and just have a cable run to a very, very small form factor antenna. And I think that's what's most appealing, because that immediate failover, if you can have LTE, it's certainly a lot more affordable. You get great speeds. But then if you lose connectivity, we want an immediate failover to satellite, whether it's your primary or your backup, but that way you never lose that connection.
And talk to me a little bit. I mean, it's obviously a very high-tech product. You mentioned some new elements there. Talk to me about the sort of edge computing element and sort of the difference it can make here.
Well, for us, there's a couple ways to look at edge computing. This is really enabling the assets that are in the field to speak with one another, and you can configure those. And it's bringing all of that mobile computing closer and closer to where the devices are being monitored and utilized. We have remote terminal management with this device. And so our software platform and to the user experience now can be monitored, measured, and configured in a different way than anything else we've ever had. And so what gets that exciting is, sometimes this is a technical product. You just addressed it. I've talked about it a little bit, but it's actually like, setting up a wireless router in your home. If you can do that, you can, configure our device. But if you've got 20, 30, or 40 devices in your fleet, now you can monitor which ones are working properly, where there's a problem, and really even remotely fix the problem and maintain all of the assets, in a cloud-based solution.
Okay. I mean, you talked about this as being a major product launch for the company, and you're looking forward to showcasing it at Satellite this year. But what's sort of on deck over the next year for the company? I mean, there's a, it's a very vibrant satellite market right now. Lots of activity, lots of investment in new capability. So, even beyond Skylink, what can we expect to see from Blue Sky Network?
Also a good question. I think first and foremost, we really think of the user experience. And let's think, I'm going to answer this by saying, what are the benefits first? Ultimately, it's safety and efficiency. It's around the clock monitoring and the ability to deploy your resources more quickly and more effectively. And much of our business has been for, lives are on the line. Transferring data is one thing, but lives have also been on the line too. And so we want to make sure that all of our development is really geared towards, autonomous missions for air, land, and sea. And that will mean product line extensions and increased cloud computing and edge computing capabilities with this device. We also make some docking cradles for legacy products that are secured, and we'll be developing those going forward with greater adoption of an upgrade on that handset as well. And lastly, I think we're at the early stages of IoT adoption. I expect to see more of that in the coming years. We'll see more consistent data transfer and monitoring. And they've added an I to the acronym. It's really industrial IoT. IoT has been a term that's been kind of in vogue here recently. What it means for each business is a little bit different. But I think overall, people that have been in remote areas have never considered how an IoT solution can make their people more safe and their business operate more effectively. And outside of the consumer to more the industrial base and the corporate base, that's where we're going to see a lot more consistent data transfer. And that's where our products will ultimately be driving.
And how difficult is that? I mean, you mentioned cloud, you mentioned edge computing, you mentioned industrial IoT. We're talking about very complex networks now, and satellite fitting into a sort of a bigger overall ecosystem. For someone that's looking to develop technology into these ecosystems, I mean, how challenging is that now, and the processes that go when thinking about new products and services?
Well, it is challenging. We've got an incredibly talented technical team. I've been CEO of Blue Sky Network for about 18 months, but in the last year, we've added 7 or 8 software and firmware engineers to the team, many of whom have actually worked together. And that camaraderie, that bench strength is really what's helping propel us to the next chapter in our corporate life cycle, but also our development capabilities. Finding the sweet spot between educating the corporate and consumer clients on what our capabilities can do and what satellite can do for their business. That's a big part of it too. Everybody is concerned about high return on investment, the cost of the terminal, but the cost of the service as well. And so what we try and do is, structure a solution that has that high value proposition to them. And we, on the margin, we can design bespoke solutions that really bring connectivity to their needs across a spectrum of different assets and use cases.
I mean, you mentioned you took over as the CEO 18 months ago. That's, I imagine, a very interesting period to start a CEO role of a company. How has that been?
Well, it's been a mile a minute here for the last 18 months. But again, I think that I joined a great team of people. We were at the early stages of developing this new Certus solution. That's the mid-band streaming product with Iridium. And so we've been in heavy development mode for 18 months, but we've also been fortunate to see a return of our base business, which is legacy short burst data and voice services, to near pre-pandemic levels. There's a couple customers whose business have changed. We were pretty heavy in aviation, in remote parts of the world because the need for satellite connectivity. And some of those businesses haven't quite rebounded, but by and large, we're seeing overall usage hit pre-pandemic levels. And I think that resiliency is nice. That really helps us feel like we're developing in the right direction, and to know that the base business is not going away. We think that everything with our new product roadmap is less going to cannibalize legacy, but really be augmentative to the solution portfolio that we have to offer.
And obviously, we're talking now, and we're not that far away from the satellite show, which I know we're all looking forward to. What are you particularly looking forward to about satellite this year in September?
Well, I'm looking forward to the event. I'm fortunate enough to be speaking on a 5G and government fleet management panel. The speaker lineup includes Brian Manning from Exona and Tanya Ladwig from Lockheed Martin, and I think that we're going to have a very interesting discussion there. Our team, we've been pretty mindful about going to any events. I think I've got my VP of Biz Dev at an unmanned aerial vehicle show this week, but it's still new, getting back to meeting with people and going to events. For me and with this team, it will be the first time at the satellite show, because we actually split up last year, and I think they even kind of canceled on the second to last day. So it'll be the first conference I've gone to since the pandemic was upon us. But by and large, we're making sure that we're connecting with our customers. We're talking with key vendors and development partners, and that's the meetings we've lined up for a couple of weeks from now.
Excellent. How difficult has it been with sort of connecting with sort of customers over this 18 months? I mean, again, you talk about this being a significant Skylink being a significant product launch. How difficult is it to essentially sell a new product in the era that we're living in right now?
Well, it's an interesting question. I'd say that we were doing video calls and webinars pre-pandemic. And we certainly have upped our game. I think many other companies have adopted this medium as kind of, the new normal. For us, what we've been able to do is really connect and listen to our customers in a lot different way and more often. Rather than a flight once a month and a meeting and a lunch or a conference, now we can engage with the customers on a weekly basis. We can, idea share and collaborate much more effectively than we probably would have 2 years ago. And so in that regard, I think it's actually been easier. We've been able to communicate and have a sales pitch or a new product launch and have a webinar and take questions beforehand or post, or have one-on-one meetings and follow-ups after we get the word out. That's actually been a lot easier. And frankly, it's been a lot more effective for our team's time. And I think it's actually been a lot more effective for our customers, because, they don't need to be badgered by their partners, business partners all the time either. But if this is something we can all get excited about it in, and everybody has a vested interest, then I think, the webinar and the lunch and learn, that's really a helpful tool.
And I don't know, Tucker, if you've seen many of these Thursday morning conversations that we've done, but we like to ask some sort of non-satellite questions. And so we're going to sort of, I guess, end the conversation by moving away from satellite and all the great technology that you're going to be showcasing at satellite, and and talk about one or two other things. So we often ask people, like, we've obviously all been living at home for a lot, sort of movie or TV recommendations, anything you've watched over the last few months that you've really enjoyed, either yourself or with your family.
Oh man, that's a great question. I've got 2 little kids, and so we've watched a lot of Disney Plus. There's not a lot. Yeah, I think we've watched a lot of Disney Plus, and school's starting back now. So I'd have to say that the TV needs to stop, because this summer, I wonder if we got to the end of the internet. There was a lot of movie watching this summer. Is
there sort of a movie on Disney? I mean, I have two young
Yeah.
kids myself, so I'm with you on Disney Plus. But is there sort of a movie on Disney Plus that you secretly, actually it's pretty good. I kind of.
So the family really likes Coco. Coco was great.
That was good. I really like that.
And my son and I grew up at the time when Star Wars first came out. And so I got him into Star Wars 7-8 years ago. And we've actually been really enjoyed watching The Mandalorian. So I think there's a season 3 coming up soon. And we look forward to that. But 1 and 2 were great. And then Coco would be the go-to family movie that makes everybody happy. Although it is a bit sad.
It was, but it was it was really good. We watched it one Saturday night. It was one of those we just randomly sort of put on, and it was actually one I thought, what, I wouldn't mind watching that again. Sometimes when you watch one of the Disney movies, I think, okay, I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt now. But Coco was one I thought, what, that was pretty good. I would sit down and watch that again quite happily. So I think that was a good choice. A good choice. What sort of music do you like, Tucker? What sort of
I've got an eclectic taste. So I am an old school hip hop, old school rap guy. But then last weekend I went to the Beach Boys concert, and I stuck my son in with me. Again, he's 9, and he asked me, he's very literal, and he said, "Why do they call them the Beach Boys? They should be called the Beach Seniors." And I thought it was actually pretty funny, but they were still a great concert to go see, so they can still dial it up.
So do you have a favorite Beach Boys song?
Oh man, no, there's probably not one favorite. I think just the era, the music was all pretty good. There's not one particular favorite.
And what do you sort of, when you're not sort of coming up with cool new technology at sort of Blue Sky, what do you like to do in your sort of spare time in your time?
So for me, I like to get out on the bike. I ride around quite a bit. In Texas, there's not many hills. However, I try and vacation in the mountains. And so I'm humbled when I go out to altitude and a bunch of folks that are mountain goats on bikes decide to pass me pretty quickly, but it's a lot of fun, and nothing's better than 4 or 5 hours in the saddle and a great time to think.
Fantastic. And, Tucker, it's been a real pleasure to sort of talk with you today. Any sort of final comments on where you are with Blue Sky Network, what we should be looking out for? And, it's a really interesting story. You've obviously got some great technology coming out. So, what can we sort of expect to see from the company, not just at satellite, but beyond satellite?
Yeah, no. Well, first off, I want to say thank you very much for having me. Our firm's excited, and we're very pleased to participate. Looking ahead, we're aiming to be an innovator. We're moving beyond satellite tracking and aviation and pivoting the business to really be an IoT, maritime, and land-based connectivity solution provider. And all of the technical investment and the human capital that we've brought on board in the last 24 months has been aimed at driving a better user experience and solution for connectivity. That's what you'll see from us in the next 24 to 36 months.
Well, we wish you all the best. It's always great to talk to companies that are on the, really on the cusp of helping the revolution within our industry. We know it's an exciting time. We know satellite is going to be exciting, but even beyond satellite, the next decade, we're going to see so much innovation. And it's up to companies like Blue Sky Network and others that, that will enable, some of these amazing business plans that we talk about on a daily basis. So we wish you and your team all the best over the next year. We hope you all stay safe and healthy. We look forward to seeing you at satellite. And yeah, we wish you all the best, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you.